Good evening, Garden Staters. This is John Cifelli, and this is WeatherNJ. And a happy new year to everyone. It's 2014, and we're starting off the new year the way we ended the last one. 2013 December across New Jersey was very snowy and pretty cold, and we're going to see a lot of that continue here as we turn the page into the new calendar year. And we have our first significant winter storm of this winter, our first coastal storm, powerful nor'easter type event starting to develop. Some Gulf moisture going to be brought into the equation with this one, so a little bit of a different story this time compared to the ones that we saw earlier in December. And I think that we're focusing at this point on mostly Thursday night for the bulk of the activity to cross New Jersey. So for people that are hoping for a day off tomorrow from school, or maybe an early dismissal, probably not. I think that the bulk of the action is going to be for Thursday night and early Friday for us here in New Jersey. Starting with the temperature map across the state, it's pretty much below freezing everywhere except for down the coast, where the warm ocean is keeping things a little bit more moderate. Anywhere that we see an east wind will have temperatures moderated by the ocean. Ocean water temperatures are in the upper 40s and low 50s. And I was thinking about a polar bear plunge yesterday. My friends and I were down in Ocean City, but thankfully they talked me out of it. And even though the water is running a little bit warm, that never really sounds like a good idea. But 39 in the Toms River area, 40 around LBI, all the way down to Cape May Courthouse, where temps are in the upper 30s and low 40s as well. Northern part of the state, much colder, 21 at High Point, mid-20s in Sussex, Warren, and Morris counties. A lot of cold air bottled up in Canada. Some of that will be tapped, especially for Friday when things are going to get really, really cold around here, and for Saturday as well. And then for the early part of the week next week, it looks like after a brief moderation, we'll see temperatures get even colder maybe. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The relative humidity across New Jersey right now, we see a ribbon of drier air, relatively drier air across the middle part of the state. Sussex County is one of the two moisture spots, and that's because we have this ribbon of moisture. We see some snows breaking out across southern New York and upper Pennsylvania, and some of that moisture is dipping down into New Jersey as well. Could see some flurries, some snow showers as well, but for the most part, that snow is not indicative of what we're going to be dealing with come tomorrow. The moisture, the relative humidity that is higher down in South Jersey, that is a factor of what we're dealing with. We'll see in a minute when we look at the water vapor that already there's a lot of moisture starting to stream up and loosen things up and make things more readily available to produce some precipitation in the southern part of the state. And that's all coming our way. So here's the radar right now. We talked about those snows that are in New York and PA. That's not really related to the system that we're going to see develop. This is more of an overrunning type situation going up here. So some virga, some flurries, some snow showers, maybe a little bit of accumulation in some parts of New York. But for the most part, this will persist through tomorrow, but I don't think it really makes its way into New Jersey all too much. These overrunning type snowflakes are going to pretty much stick north of the New Jersey-New York border for the time being. The satellite water vapor loop across the southern half of the country shows plenty of moisture streaming up from the Gulf of Mexico. And yes, at the surface and aloft at 925 and 850 millibars, and even at 700, we do see wind vectors blowing in off of the Gulf. So plenty of moisture to play with. The Gulf is open for business, as we like to say. So moisture-laden system, and a large majority of the moisture will be shunted off the coast, but some of it will be captured and retained and pinned close to the coast, and that's why we're going to see some snows tomorrow as our low-pressure center develops. So going back to current conditions across the country, we see a few interesting things here when we look at the surface map. This is as of 8 o'clock, so just a touch outdated, but close, darn close enough. Right here in the middle part of the country is where our low is starting to organize. You see pressures around 1016 millibars in Texas and Arkansas, and that is starting to stream off to the right, and we'll continue to do so. It's going to go in that direction right there, and we're going to see low pressure develop along the coastline. Other important feature up here in Canada, high pressure, 1032 millibars, and it spans from basically Quebec and Ontario all the way down into Minnesota and North Dakota. Very powerful, and that's pinned in place by some upper level confluence and will continue to persist and keep things cold across the Northeast and the northern mid-Atlantic. Looking at some of those temperatures, minus 20, minus 30, really cold stuff. And again, we're going to get a little part of that for the end of the week and the early part of the weekend, and then a lot more of that come, say, early to midweek next week. So as for what we're going to expect here in New Jersey, here's the simulated radar, and this gives us an idea of how things will begin to develop. Again, here's that streamer band of overrunning moisture that stretches from Nebraska all the way into New York State. But down here around the south, there's that Gulf moisture, and that's what we're going to be really playing with. This stuff off to the north, you'll see when we animate this map, isn't really going to be much of an impact in New Jersey compared to what we're going to see develop over the southern states as that starts to move towards the mid-Atlantic. In fact, watching it here, you'll notice over New Jersey, basically the snow or precipitation just begins to develop out of nowhere. It just blooms and blossoms as the coastal low begins to take over. So the streamer band spreads across Ohio, Pennsylvania into New York, and it pretty much just stays there while the bulk of the activity is coming from that southern feature, the southern jet stream, which is bringing plenty of moisture along with it as well. So come, say, noon, 1 o'clock tomorrow, that's when we'll start to see things really start to get going off to our south, and then I think by 4 or 5 o'clock, that's when we see snows begin to develop in earnest. We might see some lighter snow activity, especially across northern New Jersey if that streamer band starts to dip down south a little bit. But as far as real significant accumulating snow, I think we're pretty good until mid-afternoon at the earliest, and maybe even we might even see the rush hour be pretty much A-OK as well. One last thing to talk about, and that's whether or not we're going to see snow across the entire state. And we looked at those temperatures across New Jersey, and we saw that there were some places that'll have temperature issues. And this is the SKU-T chart for Atlantic City, and as of 5 o'clock this afternoon, we saw temps were plus 5, which is basically 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're above freezing all the way up to 850 millibars. So definitely a good warm layer, but if you notice that green line, that is the dew point, and until that green light touches the red line, we're not going to see any moisture, or any precipitation rather. And so as time goes on, that green line will move towards the red, but the red also will start to click back towards the green. So the temperature will drop aloft, and I think we're going to see rain or maybe sleet for a short period of time across the southern half of the state, south of the expressway and east of the parkway, as I like to say, south of Toms River, along the coast anywhere where you're getting that marine influence, wherever you're seeing that easterly wind. You're going to have some rainfall issues cutting into your snowfall totals, so that's why things are trimmed a bit in this part of the state. Eventually, everything does go to snow, and I think we're seeing snow after the drive home in South Jersey. So here's the snowfall map. I always make you wait till the end before you get to see this one. 5 to 8 inches in the 287, 78, and 80 corridors, Sussex County, anywhere where it's the favorable snow areas. Off to the west, Warren, Hunterdon, Mercer, 3 to 6, dipping down into Ocean County, northern Burlington as well. And then, as I said, south and east of Philadelphia, it looks like 2 to 4 inches as you see things begin as rain down here, and then perhaps we'll lose some snowfall accumulations as well. The big story, again, even though, yes, we have a moderate to significant snowfall event, it's going to be really, really darn cold on Friday and early Saturday, and the winds are going to be significant as well. The National Weather Service has discussed the possibility of blizzard conditions. I do believe that a blizzard warning has been issued for Long Island. Even if we don't see blizzard warnings, which are qualified when you have 35 miles an hour winds for 3 hours, or you see, or in conjunction with visibilities of less than a quarter mile. Even if you don't see blizzard warnings posted for that sustained stretch, I do think that we will see blizzard conditions at times, especially closer to the coast where the winds can really come in unabated off of the ocean. So Hudson County, Monmouth County ocean, once you see things go over to snow after dark, it really will rip, and the winds will be very powerful, and driving will be very, very dangerous come Thursday, say starting at 9 o'clock. Waking up Friday is going to be tough. Give yourself plenty of time to dig out. Like I said, I don't think we'll be seeing school too much, as there's be plenty of digging to do, and the winds will make the snow blow around, and salt's not going to do too much in that kind of situation. So significant event, and looks like maybe a sign of things to come. maybe moderating on Monday before we see another small event. Probably rain on Tuesday, and then, like I said, Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday, things look to get really cold as what we call the polar vortex drops down from Canada, pays us a visit in the northern mid-Atlantic and northeast, and brings some really, really cold air. So bundle up, and I'll be in touch soon. Warm regards.